Hey, all right, so now we're going to evaluate functions. So this is our last lesson in writing functions, and it's sort of figuring out how to deal with this new system with our equations that we are looking at. So specifically, we have now this new format of f of x, or a function of x in our terminology now. And what we need to be able to do is we need to utilize this to set ourselves up for success. So we're going to evaluate some functions. So for f of x is equal to 5x, we need to find f of x when x is equal to 6 and when x is equal to 7.5. So essentially, wherever I see an x in this function, I am going to put a 6 in there. And then whenever I see an x in this function, I'll put a 7.5 in there. And I'm going to solve both of those different scenarios to find out what the corresponding output is. So f of x is equal to 5x is my base equation. Instead of writing x in these situations, or in this situation, I'm going to first start when x is 6. So I'm literally writing what is f of 6 like in terms of this equation. F of x is equal to 5x. Instead of writing x's, I'm going to put 6. F of 6 is equal to 5 times 6, which is equal to 30. So I could finish this sentence and say f of 6 is equal to 30. Okay, that's one answer that I could use in evaluating this function. I could also do this same one over here. F of 7.5 is equal to 5 times 7.5. And I should technically be drawing this in red to make it very clear that this is something I'm putting into this function. So now I can do this work. F of 7.5 is equal to 5 times 7.5, which is 37.5. So I can do that here, 37.5, or my final answer, f of 7.5 into this function is 37.5. So literally, we've evaluated expressions in the past, but this time we have this new function notation. And it's important if you're describing it in terms of a function, if it's a working functional relationship, we need to be able to say this function in terms of 6 is this particular output. This input gets us this output in this function. This independent variable gets us this dependent variable in this function. That sort of thing. This x value would get us this corresponding f of x value or y value, all that jazz. So now we have this next one for g of t, new function. This function not only has a different name, but its independent variable is going to be described differently. Is that okay? Of course it is, because math is confusing like that. So for g of t equals 3, and this should say t, sorry. For 3t plus 2, find t when g of t is 11. Ooh, this is so tricky. So we have this base function, g of t is equal to 3t plus 2. We want to find what t is in this function if g of t is 11. So in other words, instead of writing g of t, this time I'm going to write 11. Now I'm going to solve it. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. I get 9 is equal to 3t, divide by 3, divide by 3. So I get 3 is equal to t. So I can now say this final answer of g of 3 is equal to 11. Okay, so we can evaluate functions in 2 different ways in terms of the dependent variable, like right down here, or the independent variable, like up above. Cool? Cool. So now have at the must-do problems. play around with writing functions, play around with evaluating functions, and don't hesitate to ask me questions if you have any before you take the exit pass. Thanks for watching. Bye.